for us to go ahead and get started, the first step that I want to introduce y'all to is being able to set up a wallet. So as you see on this website right here, Get Started Kit, this is a site I built out myself. I coded it from scratch to be a resource, not only for my students, but for the average person that might just want to get into crypto and don't have a starting place. So the first thing that we're gonna do is help y'all set up a wallet. The difference between this and a bank account is you own the keys to it, so you have the control of it. Now, when you look at being able to go withdraw or wire, 100,000 or 50,000, you got to get permission. You got to see if the bank actually has it liquid. Sometimes there's hold times or waiting times. Sometimes, things have to be approved. Sometimes you can't go do it when you want to because, the banks are only open from a certain time to a certain time. The beautiful thing about being able to move around in the crypto space is you have full control of your assets. Now, the only way that is possible is if you own the keys. How do you own the keys? I'm going to show y'all right now. So if you go up here to the top right, and if you were to go on mobile, it will be in the same area. You would click on Connect Wallet. Now, that's only for this website. It's plenty of other ways you can get to it, but I'm just showing y'all a simple way to create a new wallet. You would go to the top right, you would click Connect Wallet, and then you would choose from one of these wallets right here. So MetaMask is always a good start. I always tell everybody to start here because it's a standard, and this wallet is, more than likely compatible with just about any website that's crypto related. You would be using a MetaMask for the most part. So when you click on MetaMask, well, it's actually opening mine up, but if you didn't have one, you should see an option that says get, or you can hit right here, learn more. Now you can click get a wallet. When you click get a wallet, it's pulling up MetaMask in real time. All right, so you would click on agree to the MetaMask terms of use. And of course, I want you to go and read that, because in this space right here, being that you're the sole owner of your own private bank, of your own crypto assets, one thing to know is no one that you'll be able to call for customer service when you're dealing with decentralized platforms. Now you have centralized platforms, which we'll get into that a little later, but that would be your Coinbase, your crypto.com, anything that requires KYC, which is know your customer. And that's when they ask for your name, number, address, ID, verification through email, etc., etc. This is a little different because they don't ask you for any information. They don't ask you for an email. They don't ask you for any personal info. This is literally allowing you to set up your wallet without any outside interference, and this puts you completely in control. So when you start, you're going to click on create a new wallet. When you hit create a new wallet, all of this stuff is going to show up. Usually I just click on no thanks. You can read what it says, but it's just asking about being able to collect data on the behalf of MetaMask for improvements. So I'll click no thanks. They're going to ask me to create a password, 8 characters. I'm just going to make up a password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, I suggest to put a password that, 1, you're going to remember or have written down, and then 2, know that you would not be able to make it back into the wallet without this password. Now, this is speaking in the sense of you've added the wallet to your phone or your browser and you need to get back into it. But the next step is going to show you how to set up a 12-word phrase. Now, this 12-word phrase is the actual master key to the wallet. This master key or phrase is the only way you would be able to get back into the wallet. If you were to lose your computer, if you were to lose your phone, if you were to lose all your devices that you might have had it logged in on and you needed to get back into it to move your assets or to access them, this master phrase is the end all be all. If you don't have this, you will not be able to email MetaMask as a company. It's no one you will be able to go to. You are completely in control. And just to be clear, MetaMask is not necessarily providing you with these 12 words. The software itself provides you with the 12 words automatically as you create a new wallet. So once they give you the 12 words and you write them down, they're going to have you confirm that you have them in the correct order. And then once you go through that confirmation, that's it. There will be no other opportunity for you to get those 12 words again unless you have them written down on the paper. Now, I will say, if you are logged into your wallet, you can get those 12 words again, but that only can happen from being inside of the wallet. So hence to the fact you still are going to need those 12 words regardless. Now this video right here, you know, is simple. Now, before y'all get too far into the process, I didn't forget, but I meant to tell y'all one of the most important steps of this. Never, and when I say never, I mean ever, screenshot this 12-word phrase. I'm gonna give y'all a couple no-nos. Never screenshot it. Never take a picture of it. Don't try to copy and paste it and email it to yourself. Don't try to send it to yourself. Anything that you do with it digitally will make you vulnerable for possibly being hacked in the future. I've seen iClouds be hacked. I've seen computers get hacked. I've seen phones get hacked. I've seen people you know, not even get hacked and still are vulnerable to people being able to get into their wallets. How do you prevent that? There's nothing to be scared of. How do you prevent that? Paper wallets. What's a paper wallet? A paper wallet is when you take this 12-word phrase and you write it on paper. You don't put it anywhere digital. That way, you know to yourself, you have took the right preventative measure to never make yourself vulnerable at the most basic level of protecting those 12 words. Okay? All right, great. So y'all following along good. Now, when it comes to dealing with NFTs, crypto, etc., you're gonna need your wallet. That's a must. That's the first step before you do anything. You're gonna need the wallet. Now, right here, right, I can hit remind me later, but you would hit secure my wallet to move forward because you want to do that to make sure that you got the phrase and to make sure that you confirm the phrase. Now, I don't suggest this, but this is what I'm doing just for the sake of moving forward and showing y'all everything is set. Once I hit done, install complete, I'm inside the wallet. Okay, cool. Now, this setup is going to be the same whether you're on the phone or computer. It's going to look the same. So just to show you guys what you're looking at, this right here where it says US dollar, this is your balance. And remember, when you're dealing with crypto, we're not dealing with US dollars. So I want you to know a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. And Ethereum is an Ethereum is an Ethereum, meaning no matter where you go in the world, because this is a universal asset, no matter where you go in the world, one Ethereum will always be one Ethereum, one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin, one Litecoin will always be one Litecoin, one Dogecoin will always be one Dogecoin. Now, when we talking about having something to compare it to, then that's when we put it next to the US dollar. But I'm not paying back based on the US dollar. I'm only paying back based on the underlying asset. And these assets do fluctuate, right? Reason why we interact with things called stable coins. And stable coins are simply coins or tokens that remain at the value of $1 for the most part. You know, sometimes they fluctuate within the cents, but they're always going to be the value of $1 essentially. And the reason why those exist is you know, for stabilization purposes, and so people can have some type of control of being able to navigate in and out of tokens that fluctuate, because everything in the crypto space fluctuates. Doesn't matter if it's a stable coin or not. You know, it might be worth $1 and it might go down to 99 cent, 99.80. You know, is conceptually it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but this is the new money matrix that we're in right now. So this is, you know, your balance for your portfolio. These are where your tokens are going to show up. You know, if you have more tokens, they will show up here. And if you click on get started, it'll actually take you on a tour throughout the wallet. and navigate you around, show you where everything is. Now, when you go up here, you click on networks. This is going to allow you to switch the network that you're operating on with the crypto. Now, a simple way to think of this is kind of like, if this was a TV, these would be the different channels, right? But no matter what channel you're on, let's just say, I got a better example. If this was a car, these are the different types of gas that you can use. You have 87, 89, whatever. At the end of the day, it's still gas. So if I had Ethereum and I'm let's say this is 87, and I switch over to we can switch over to linear for right now. Let's say I switch over to linear, right? I still have Ethereum. What is that? Gas. I still have gas, but now this gas is 89 instead of 87. So the same assets can live on multiple networks, but each network has a different set of rules. So when you're on each network, the fees, the transaction fees are going to be different depending on what network you use, because it's a different asset, it's a different medium, and they have different qualities about them. So for example, when you're operating on the Polygon network, it's still Ethereum, but it's a layer 2. So with it being a layer 2, it actually allows me to make the same transactions I would have made on the Ethereum network, but it lets me make them way cheaper. So it's going to cost me less money and the transaction to move way faster. Why is that? Because the Ethereum is the main chain, so it can get congested. I don't want to get too far into that right now, because I want to keep everything simple so we understand the overall reason why we're here and what we're using this stuff for. Now, we went through the wallet. You got the NFTs, and then you have the activity tab, which is just going to simply show you all of your transactions. Every transaction that you make on here is public. No matter what we've been told, is nothing anonymous about crypto. In fact, it's actually pseudo-anonymous. So when you're making transactions, just know that nothing is private. The only thing about it is this wallet right here, I didn't set it up with a name. I didn't set it up with an email. I didn't set it up with any information pertaining to me, right? So this is your identity right here. This long, and I'm actually gonna paste it so y'all can see what it looks like. This is my wallet address, right? My receive address, aka my public address. Think of a public address as like your Cash App name. So you can give anybody your Cash App name. That don't mean they can look in your wallet. That just means they can send you assets there, quote unquote money, right? The worst, I always make a joke, the worst thing someone can do with your public address is send you money. That's the worst thing they can do, is send you some money, right? Now there's other things that can be done. We'll get into that later. But your private address, because you have a public address and a private address. Your public address is fine to give out to people. Well, reset. Your public key, which is also your public address. Your private key, you give to no one. When I say no one, I mean no one. And to be clear, your private key is just as important as your master key, but your master key would be those 12 words that you wrote down, right? So your master key, aka seed phrase, also known as passphrase or secret recovery phrase, because it does have different names depending on the software that you use. All of those are private. You don't share that with anybody. That's sacred. Again, that's to be on paper, not to be shared with anyone. Imagine if this is, in comparison, this is you owning your own bank, right? Would you give someone the private master key to your own branch of a Wells Fargo? Let's say you own a branch of Wells Fargo and you put it on the street near your house, and you're not the manager, the owner of it, right? You're not going to give up that phrase. You're going to want to protect that with your life. You're going to guard that with everything in you, and you're going to want to be strategic on how you store the word. This is not something you just write in your notebook and just leave on the kitchen table and like, oh, you come back. Oh. because if you get to the point where, you know, you end up making you a nice bag, or, you know, you end up getting some Bitcoin or whatever you end up doing, and your assets shoot up, now you've put yourself in a position to where nothing's going to happen to it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to always be there. You just won't have access to it. And there's no one that can help you get back into it. The only thing that can save you is what? Can anybody drop it in the chat? What can save you in a situation like that? A
No,
paper master key, okay. Your paper wallet, your seed phrase. That's the only way. Meaning we are responsible. We have no one to blame. We have no one that can help us if we don't at least have that. That is the end all, be all when it comes to protecting your wallet and your assets, right? Now, let's get into the fun part of this, right? I'm going to show y'all some practical uses of things that could be done right now. So we're not just talking about, okay, we set up a wallet. Okay, well, I just buy some crypto. Like, it's deeper than that. I'm going to show y'all some of the cool things that can actually be done that I know most people don't speak of. One, because they don't know. And two, it's not the most popular thing to talk about right now. Most people just want to know, how do I make money? But this is bigger than that. So this platform right here is called Liquidium. Liquidium basically lets you borrow Bitcoin against your inscriptions, aka Ordinals. Simple form, Bitcoin NFTs. NFTs that are going through the Bitcoin network. That's the simple way to explain it, right? Now, on here, as you see, total loan value. This is in real time. They have $318 million just sitting there to loan out. And it's sitting inside of a contract. No one controls it. TVL, that stands for total value locked. That means it's $8.3 million locked into this application right here. 8.3 million, meaning they have liquidity to cover anything that might go wrong. Interest paid, $5.6 million in interest paid out on loans directly from user-generated profiles. Total loans, they've done 63,000 loans. When we're talking about the validity of a platform like this is who it's backed by. Whether you're familiar with these companies or not, you should go check these companies out. These are all reputable companies, and they're not all just crypto companies. Some of these are tech companies and fintech companies. This platform right here in simple form lets you borrow. So I'm gonna show y'all an example of what that looks like. Launch app. Because again, we want to know, what can we do with this stuff? Like, am I just buying it and sitting on it and holding it? Well, you can come in here and you can do lending or borrowing. Now, from the lending side, which is a lot safer in my opinion, if you just want to play it safe, you can literally find these assets, which are considered blue chip assets, which are assets that are recognized to be, you know, I would say valuable in the eyes of people that are willing to lend and borrow, valuable in the eyes of people that spend money in the crypto space, valuable just as far as proof of concept of being, you know, worth something. So when you hear the word blue chip, most times you're going to see blue chip projects on a site like this. So right here, let's say I want to be a lender. Let's say I want a Bitcoin puppet, right? And a Bitcoin puppet costs 0.12 BTC, right? So that comes out to $13,344. And that's the floor price. Floor price is just the lowest amount that people are willing to pay for it. So when you hit lend, you're going to be able to sign in with your wallet and make them an offer. Now you see right there, APY 150%, term 5 days, floor price. So let's say I wanted, most people do terms for 5 days. I haven't really seen terms for 10 and 16 days, but it's whatever you choose to do. So I can hit, and mind you, I have to be signed into my wallet to do this, to actually make it confirm. That's why it says connect. But I hit 5 days. I can hit match best. And these are the different terms that I can go by. So, you know, let's say I go by this term, it would, you know, check to see if I have enough BTC in my wallet. It says insufficient because I'm not signing to my wallet. Right there where it says connect, I would be confirming. I would sign with my wallet as long as I have that amount of, well, not even this amount. Really it'll be based on what I'm loaning them. So that'll be $114 in interest. So for this NFT, they can get $114 right now, instant liquidity from any one of us that's willing to lend. So when I hit lend, it's going to make the offer and it's up to them to accept it. Now, when I do this, I'm doing this for anyone that has a Bitcoin puppet. It's not specifically for one person. By me putting it out there, anybody that has a Bitcoin puppet can go to the borrow section, right? And when you go to the borrow section, I go to the same asset. So I can go to the same asset and hit borrow. Now, me as the borrower, I'm someone who has a Bitcoin puppet. So what does that mean? I'm signing to my wallet that's holding a Bitcoin puppet. I would hit borrow, and then I would just simply choose from the amount of offers that's already out there, right? Remember, this is a public ledger, so I can accept the offer from anybody that has an offer out there. I don't have to know who they are. My credit history doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters because we're decentralized. Now, as you see, this is pretty hot NFT. All of these people are putting in offers right now, so I can accept any one of these offers right now. And then this shows the active loans and how much time is left. Now, mind you, it's a collateral thing. So if I give you a loan on your puppet and you don't pay within those 5 days, the escrow is going to automatically transfer that to my wallet. And then, you know, it's no risk for you. The only risk you had was you put your asset up for collateral. So if you lose the asset, you did get the loan against it. So it's an even swap, no swindle, right? So when I speak about this and the importance of this in liquidity, being able to put yourself in position to have assets that's worth borrowing is no different from buying real estate, from buying cars, from purchasing cars to put on Turo. It's basically just accumulating assets and then being able to put them to work. So that's what this platform does in simple form. We're gonna go on to the next one. Now, this platform does the same exact thing, but this is for Ethereum-based assets. And I'm gonna tell y'all a short story. I had a piece of land in the Metaverse that I got for about $5,600, right? I put it on this platform, not knowing too much about it, just trying things. And I didn't really pay attention like I needed to, and I came back too late. I ended up losing that piece of land for $5,600. But mind you, I was able to borrow, I can't even remember how much I borrowed at the time, but I was able to borrow a nice amount of money against it. And I had to just take that as a loss. Now, credit scores are already on the blockchain. They do exist. So this platform actually it's a credit score tied to your wallet. You start off with a perfect credit score. Once you start defaulting on loans, that makes your credit score go down. The more that you pay loans off, like you take loans, you pay them off, that boosts your score, that makes you more reputable, that makes people more willing to lend to you, et cetera, et cetera. Mind you, we're talking about instant liquidity against digital assets that people say are imaginary and we can't do anything with and we don't have any value. Brings me to my other point. Hold on, before I even get into this, it's similar to the other two platforms I showed y'all, but this is different. This allows you to basically create secure loans against your crypto coins. So not necessarily your NFTs or your ordinals, but your actual coins. So your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your TRX, all these different coins, you're actually able to borrow against those tokens using this this platform right here. So as you see, total value locked, they have 6,300,000,600,000 total value locked. Grants power, $100,000. Ecosystem user, 400,000. Now, mind y'all are so early that it's less than 1 million people on here using this, and we have millions of people in the world. Less than 1 million people. It's 400,000 using this. Let me hit launch app. Now you'll need a different wallet to use this. For this, you'll have to use like Tron Link or X-Link or one of those wallets. But again, this is going to allow you to create loans against your token. So as you see these tokens right here, every token that you see up here, you can supply the token or you can borrow against the token. So right now, you could borrow up to about, I think 60 or 70% of what you put up. Now there is another platform called Instadap that allows you to borrow up to 97% of what you put up. But basically, you're able to lock your tokens into a smart contract. That smart contract is going to be, you're going to be yielding and earning based off of it sitting there. The APYs are right here. So you'll be able to choose which one makes the most sense. But when you think about sending your money in the bank, there's no way you're going to get 10% with your money sitting in the bank. You know what I mean? You're not going to get not even a whole 1% if we're going to be real. I think it's like 0.04, you know. But this is the power of crypto, and this all can be done now. So it don't matter if you're starting with $20 or if you got 20,000, if you got 20 million. I would say this is definitely one of the safer ways to start, and you can literally start earning on your crypto just sitting there, because you know most times it's going to be just sitting there anyway if you're just getting started. So when we're talking about liquidity, well, how are they able to do this? Well, they have 12 billion TRX already sitting there in liquidity, 127 million USD, which is, this is a stable coin. This is equal to US dollar. So we're talking about being able to take a coin that doesn't even fluctuate, right? And you get 8.55% on it, plus you're mining tokens. So you're earning tokens on top of you getting paid interest, right? In my opinion, if I knew this when I first came into crypto, this would have been my route I would have been going anyway, you know, outside of just investing in NFTs and trading and just trying stuff. But, you know, what I'm here to do is break down that barrier entry and simplify it for y'all, because I know most people are scared, you know, of crypto. They've seen people lose money. They've lost money in this, and it's discouraging. But I'm here to tell y'all, as long as you playing everything fundamentally right, you know, it's a game of trial and error, and you can really win in this space just by taking safe preventative measures and actually doing things that's going to help you beat out inflation in the long run, right? Because when we look at the US dollar from 2020 until now, we've lost, I want to say 25% of purchasing power. So that same dollar is worth 75 cents today as far as goods and services that you're able to actually buy with it, because it's a loss of purchasing power. So you always want to make sure you put yourself in position to have something that can beat out inflation in the long run, right? So we went over Liquidium, we went over NFT-Fi, we just went over Just Lend. Before we get out of here, that's extremely important, right? This site that I gave y'all, Get Started Kit, when you go to this site, it's a tab here that says current market, right? When you click on current market, right here, what we have is a current market dashboard. Now, this is a software I developed myself in order to have something to always know what the market is doing. So you know how originally when I used to do my classes, I used to have, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 tabs up to do all of these things that you see right here on the site, right? So I developed this software for me to be able to get multiple things done at once. And that is being able to check the market out. So I get a quick assessment of what these assets are doing in the market. I have a heat map. So as I scroll over the heat map, simple form, when you see it red, that means it's losing liquidity or it's going down. When you see it green, that means it's up. So you know, it might flip. You might see Ethereum red, which is losing, and then you see Bitcoin up. Now we just topped out at like an all-time high of about 99,000 this week, right? Now, as you see, we're losing liquidity inside of Bitcoin, which is making the price go down. Now, some people say, oh, it's crashing, but I can't really call something that was at its highest level, about 69,000 a few weeks ago, crashing when it just came down to 92,000, right? And that's because I look at it from a zoomed out perspective. Now, also, if you do know how to read charts, and if you don't, that's fine. I teach technical analysis. I teach people how to read charts for stocks, gold, oil, crypto, options, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to know what your asset is doing, all you have to do is come to the top left and type it in. So let's say I want to see what Ethereum is doing. I'll type in ETH, US dollar, and now I can see what ETH is doing. What is Litecoin doing? Let me type it in. I type in Litecoin, and now I can see what Litecoin is doing. The whole purpose of this dashboard is to simplify your process and workflow for being able to go through these coins and see what they're doing right now in the very moment. Not what the news is saying, not what they're saying on Twitter, not what they're saying on Instagram, but what's going on right now in this very moment, right? When you go below here, I have a swap built into it that allows you to swap assets cross-chain, meaning if I want to go from an Ethereum asset on Ethereum chain to an asset on Bitcoin chain, is almost impossible if you don't have what they call a bridge, which is going to charge you a certain fee, right? So this swap right here is a workaround for getting around the bridges and actually helps you save money on your swaps. You know, I want to make this transition for y'all as simple as possible. Now, this swap right here does not require you to sign into anything. Why is that? Because it's going to be a peer-to-peer transaction. Now, the cool thing about this swap is it goes through Simple Swap. So Simple Swap has customer service. So as long as you keep up with your transaction number, I think that's the correct term for it, you'll be able to email the support if a swap doesn't go right or if you don't receive your tokens. But still make sure you do your due diligence when dealing with anything in the space, not just this one thing, but you know, anything in the space. These videos I update often. Right here you have the welcome, you have the update video. On every tab of my website, I have, you know, 2 videos there. Periodically check those. I'll be updating those. And then right up under here, I added in basically this section to keep up with assets. Now, let's say, you know, quick search purposes, let's say I want to see, you know, what token is, I would say, let's say what token has the lowest price. I'm going to flip it upside down, right? So what that's going to do is it's going to give me the tokens in order from the lowest up to the highest. So that gives me opportunity to see what tokens can I buy for less than a penny. Because remember, if Bitcoin is at 100,000, it has to go to 200,000 for you to double your money, which is also what? 100% return. But you can make a lot more money off of tokens that are a lot cheaper. Mind you, you still want to do your research on these tokens, but you know, you're able to check the metrics of them from right here. Now, the less amount of tokens that something has is actually good for the people holding the token because the price goes up faster. And there's other factors to look at as well, but that's, you know, one thing to look at. So when you look at Shiba Inu, it has 589 trillion tokens. Not saying I would or wouldn't buy Shiba, but looking at those metrics, that's something I know is going to take me some time to make my money unless I got into it early. Now, when you look at something like this, right, it's only 35. Hold on, it's only 36,000 tokens. But also another metric you can go by is change, right? So now I can see what are the biggest losers. Okay, these lost the most amount of money today. So if they have any chance of coming back, I'm in a good position to be in profit if I do scoop up a certain amount of them and I can actually ride it back up to wherever it's going, right? If I want to look at traded volume for the day, I can see what has the most money going through it. Well, that's Tether, and then hold on, my bad. Hold on. So that's Tether, which had 191 billion going through it, and then it's Bitcoin with 79 billion going through it. So when people try to talk to me about crypto, I don't go by the news. I don't go by what people say. I don't go by influencers. I don't care if, they've managed hedge funds. I don't care if they're, Warren Buffett. I don't care who they are, because all I look at is the actual data. Not saying no one can tell me anything, but if we're both going by the data, I could just read the data myself. So one thing I always encourage is read the data yourself. Don't even just go by what I say. That's why I built this software out, so we can go by what the data says. So I could be here just talking my head off and be like, man, Bitcoin 98,000, da 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 da. Well, in this very moment, it's at 92,000. It's not at 98,000. It's not at 99,000. We're going by where it's at in the very moment right now.